Hi. So I thought it would be fun to talk about some of my history on the channel. Um, so what I wanted to talk about tonight was how I recovered from left side paralysis and facial droop and vision loss on my own without medical intervention. Um, so This started in 2013. This was just around 6 to 8 weeks after I had my youngest baby, my son. So he was a newborn, and I woke up one morning and I had lost vision in my right eye. So, of course, I was really freaking out and had no idea what could possibly be wrong. But my vision wasn't completely gone. It was just obstructed. And so I started going to vision appointments, and I went to probably three, and they were not able to find anything physically wrong with my eye or my vision. Nothing could explain what I was experiencing. So I want to say it was a few days or maybe a week later after my vision um, stopped or after my vision went funky, that I woke up and I had left side paralysis. So when I woke up, I was having a noticeable amount of difficulty walking and maintaining my balance from my left and right side. And I'm left handed, so I was having a lot of trouble writing and, holding things with my hand and just using my body in general. I was having a lot of trouble standing, walking, sitting up straight. I was, kind of leaning, and the left side of my face was visually droopy. Um, So obviously, I was even more scared when this happened, and I asked my partner to drive me to the emergency room. I thought that I maybe had a stroke in my sleep. So, having four kids and a newborn baby, and the symptoms that I was having, and thinking that I had a stroke in my sleep, I was then having also a panic attack um, because at the time my son, like I said, he was a newborn, 6 to 8 weeks old, and he was failure to thrive, having a lot of troubles with nursing and would not take a bottle. He couldn't survive without me. Um, and I'm not trying to be dramatic when I say that, but the thought crosses your mind when you're in a situation like that, like how would my baby survive without me if something does happen to me? Um, so we went to the emergency room, and they did a full blood panel workup. I don't remember exactly every single test that they did for me. But I did have an MRI and a couple of other things at that time. I told them about the vision loss also. And I left that day with no answers, other than I needed to see a neurologist and have further testing, possibly a lumbar puncture, and that it looked like I might have gray matter in my brain, which is a dead tissue in my brain. Um, so they did not give me anything to, help with the problems or make anything better. So I left that day to care for my newborn, just like I was. And I stayed that way for a few weeks. And I went home and I researched, I jumped right into researching and learning about what could be going on with me and how I could make it better on my own. I didn't realize that I was still emotional about this. um, so I was learning everything that I could about how I could help myself because it seemed like the medical industry was not going to be able to help me. Um, and in between this time, I was seeing a neurologist and, continued testing to see if anything ever would show up. I did go through with a second MRI and a lumbar puncture, and they did find some minor things, some minor explanations for what could be going on with me. But like I said, during that time, I continued to do my own research, and I have a medical background. I worked in the hospital for 5 to 6 years. I worked in a nursing home for years also. So I've got a lot of medical knowledge, and so that was really helpful. But what I did was I chose one day to start using essential oils, and I had a good friend at the time that had just started selling doTERRA essential oils, and she recommended frankincense. And I had never heard of it before, but apparently, and not apparently, I mean, I've used it with great success. But at the time, she explained to me how beneficial it was for patients that had symptoms like I did and perceived MS, which was what they finally diagnosed me with through neurological and workup and lumbar puncture and everything that all of the testing that I went through, perceived MS. So, so I started using the essential oils. I was using frankincense, 2 to 3 drops sublingual underneath the tongue per day. I want to say it was just 3 or 4 days, and my vision returned. It was completely restored. So I kept using it, and it was just another few days after that I started to notice that the rest of like my balance and the ability to use my body was improving as well. But I did still have pain. I was having pain after this incident, and I was having tremors and weakness in my left hand. So I decided to take it a step further. And I forgot to mention that the neurologist that I saw that diagnosed me with perceived MS wanted me to take a medication that would have been extremely dangerous to my son at the time because he was nursing. And like I had explained before in this video, at that time, he wouldn't have survived without me alive. I mean, maybe they would have figured something out, but that was my frame of mind at the time, was like, I have to do whatever I can to help myself, but also to help him. So there was no way I could take a medication that would affect my breast milk and then he wouldn't be able to nurse. So yeah, I took it a step further. I was excited that, I had that kind of power and that I was following my intuition. And in doing that, I was able to recover so drastically. As you can see, like I have, like my face is symmetrical, no droop. I use all parts of my body these days. So I took it a step further and I decided that we were going to start clean eating And I started that out with a whole 100. Most people call it whole 30. But I am a little bit extra, and I did it for 100 days instead of 30. And I also saw dramatic results with that. When I first started the diet, I was having foot drop when I would go up the stairs. So that means when I would go up the stairs, my feet wouldn't always go up to the next step with me. So that was the first noticeable improvement that I had when I started to change my diet. I also noticed drastic changes in my mood, because another thing that came along with all of this was a lot of depression and anxiety, which I had suffered from anxiety for a couple of years. I am a multiple trauma survivor, and it kind of overlapped. So, so I started doing a lot of clean eating. We cut out dairy, we cut out soy, we cut out fast food, sodas, junk food, processed food, dirty meats, meaning meats that are heavily processed and have like antibiotics and steroids and hormones and all the stuff that is bad for us. So my next step was exercise and meditation. I added meditation into my life also. And this was completely intuitively guided. My whole process was intuitively guided because at this point I had left behind conventional medicine because all they wanted to do for me was give me medication that would prevent me from nursing my son. And I just wasn't satisfied with that. I knew that there was another way. So I started doing, some light stretching, some yoga, some meditation. And I do want to add that before any of this started, I was a runner. I ran, I lifted weights, I worked out a lot, I ate pretty healthy. I wouldn't, like, every once in a while I would binge eat, like, who doesn't do that? But yeah, I was eating clean, exercising, working out, exercising and meditating. And that is basically how I recovered myself. Right now, on this day, I wouldn't say that I'm not 100% perfect right now, but I wanted to put this out there for anybody that might come across it that, might be in a similar situation, or to encourage somebody that has been diagnosed with MS that there are other ways. I want to let people know that frankincense is a must-have. Like, literally everybody needs to have it in their house. Clean eating does change your life. It changes your health dramatically. Yoga and meditation, amazing. I've been doing it for years now. Meditation is also going to open you up to clear all of the emotions that you've been blocking, which I did not know at the time. So I hope this was helpful for whoever comes across it. I hope it's encouraging to you. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.